I've been rewatching the old James Bond films. Sean Connery, 1960s Britain. In those movies, Britain is painted as a nation of global significance, stylish, resourceful, and capable of countering the world's greatest threats. But much like the Bond franchise, Britain's role has changed. What once looked powerful and commanding now often feels like a parody. And the recurring theme in those films, a small shadowy group manipulating world events for their own gain, feels uncomfortably familiar in today's politics.
Siamese fighting fish, fascinating creatures. Brave, but on the whole stupid. Yes, they're stupid. Except for the occasional one such as we have here, who lets the other two fight while he waits. Waits until the survivor is so exhausted that he cannot defend himself. And then, like Spectre, he strikes.
I find the parallel amusing.
Now, before I go further, I want to be clear. Last night, I spent the evening volunteering with refugees, and I spent most of my time having an amazing conversation with a Palestinian man who reminded me of my grandfather. He was intelligent and funny, and I had more in common with him than I would have had with most people at the Unite the Kingdom march. I even played football with a young boy, who I nutmegged twice. And they are human beings, they are not statistics. Not every refugee has the same story, and it's dangerous to paint them all with the same brush. You'd probably do the same if you were in their shoes. And the same is true for the people who attended the Unite the Kingdom march. It's easy to dismiss them as racists or fascists, but the truth is much more complicated. Most of the refugees I've met, and most of the marchers I saw, are decent people. It's a minority on both sides whose anger and despair spill over into hatred and violence. And I try not to judge too quickly, because I haven't lived their lives. I haven't been forced to flee my home, and I haven't had a loved one harmed by rape gangs. So I went to the march with an open mind, the same way I approached working with refugees. And I'll be honest, the march was powerful. Thousands of people, united by passion, flags waving, voices raised.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
It reminded me of being at Wembley for the Euros final. The tattoos, the drinking, the chanting. In Britain, when we gather in big crowds, football culture always seeps in. And we even have politics turn into football chants. Keir Starmer is a wanker. It's just like the referee is a wanker. And that football analogy goes deeper. The United Kingdom is like Manchester United. Once feared, respected, dominant, both on the pitch and on the world stage. But now the glory days are long gone. Just as United fans want the Glazers out, many Britons want a change in leadership, a change in direction. But sacking managers hasn't brought United back to greatness, and cycling through prime ministers hasn't fixed Britain either. When United were the best, they could justify expensive tickets. When Britain was thriving, we could justify high taxes and strict rules. But when the value disappears, frustration grows. And when United lose, no one feels much sympathy. And when Britain loses, sympathy is also in short supply because of Britain's past. Immigration, in this analogy, is like transfers. To compete, you strengthen the squad, you sign talent from abroad. But not every signing works. And if your youth academy fails to produce strong homegrown players, you become dependent on outsiders. Britain's academy, its education system, its workforce, has struggled to compete in a globalized economy, and people see decisions being made that don't strengthen the nation, and they lose faith in the leadership. And that loss of faith fuels nationalism. But nationalism isn't really about pride, it's actually about fear. Fear of losing status, fear of no longer being the priority, and fear that your culture will be replaced. That's why you hear a renewed push for Christian values and loyalty to the crown is really an attempt to anchor identity in something old and unquestionable. Beneath it lies a deep anxiety about Islam, immigration, and cultural change. And if nations are like football clubs, then global politics is like the Nations League. And here's the problem. In football, at least in theory, everyone plays by the same rules. But in geopolitics, powerful nations bend or break those rules to gain an advantage. Britain once did exactly that, exploiting loopholes, rewriting the rules, building an empire that controlled a quarter of the world's landmass. That advantage is now gone, and what was once our strength has become our weakness. And we still live in the shadow of that empire. Our streets, our buildings remind us of when Britain truly ruled the world, and that fuels a residual pride that no longer matches reality. Because while Britain projected greatness abroad, the working class Britons were often exploited at home, sent down mines, into factories, or off to fight wars for the powerful. The post-war boomer generation might have lived through Britain's high point: jobs, housing, cultural confidence, before the internet rewired society. Today, young people face unaffordable homes, insecure work, and wages undercut by both globalization and migration. Criminals use British properties as assets. New arrivals take lower paid jobs that locals don't want, but the perception remains that opportunities are sinking. And I'll be honest, I don't know the answer. No politician or party has a convincing solution. Sometimes it feels that only God could fix this. Meanwhile, the internet has become the new battleground. Algorithms feed us anger the way religion once fed us prayer. Instead of daily scripture, it's daily podcasts and viral videos, reinforcing tribal narratives. Stop the boats versus stop the genocide.
Will never die. Gaza sky. Anna's voice will never die. From Jabalia to Gaza skies. Anna's voice will never die. From Asqalan to Gaza.
Left and right both feed on outrage, and images of refugees, of victims, spread faster than words, burning themselves into our minds. The video of Charlie Kirk being shot and the images of dead children in Gaza, both are slowly changing our souls. We're more connected globally, yet more divided locally. Multiculturalism only works when people actually mix. Increasingly, people don't. They live in parallel worlds, online and offline. And that's why many feel Britain is losing its identity. We are divided, distracted, and directionless. We are drifting. And it's not just Britain. Everywhere feels like a late-stage game of Monopoly. No matter where you land, you pay a price. Everyone's competing, not just nation against nation, but communities within nations, tribes within communities, winners and losers everywhere, with less compassion for the other. The people marching last weekend are tired of losing. They don't yet know how they will win, but they are determined to try. And that determination will be weaponized by the real elites, the ones quietly consolidating power while we fight each other. Because the ultimate game isn't about politics or culture, it's about energy. Whoever captures your attention, your focus, your belief, that's who wins. So my message is this: don't give away your energy cheaply. Be definitive, have a purpose, choose to do better, because Britain, this fractured, divided country, needs you at your best. We are in an identity crisis. Who are we? Where are we going? What do we believe in? What does it mean to be British in 2025? There are no easy answers, but one thing is clear. No politician can save us if we don't first take responsibility for ourselves, our families, and our communities. We need something to believe in, something bigger than division, bigger than fear. Without that, Britain drifts further into decline. With it, maybe, just maybe, we can find a new direction. Let's really unite the kingdom. Stop the genocide in Gaza, and rest in peace, Charlie Kirk.